I'm calling this video back when I was a tradwife, part four. I have more thoughts on that. I think learning traditional skills is so valuable, and I'm glad that I have them. And I think women or men, any person who decides to learn traditional skills is I think it's amazing because I think we they're needed. I think though to be clear, like the piece that I think is dangerous is um, when that's used in a fashion that controls um, where one partner has more power and control over the other. Um, I have seen situations where being a trad wife can work really well, and I've more often than not though I think it is oppressive and controlling to women. And I think in the way that you're you're more secluded from uh, or isolated from the real world because we all live in the world and we need to be able to interact with people who are different than us and who have different opinions and different views than we do. And I think that culture, for me anyway, with that culture that was compounded by messages I heard in the late 80s as a teenage girl about the roles of women from my religion. And I've talked before about my family experiences and how I think that contributed to this decision making process for me. But I didn't have informed consent about it, right? Like, I didn't know that, like, I didn't really understand, like, if I make these choices this way, I'm going to put myself at risk for not being able to support my family. And I would say sometimes to my ex-husband, well, what if you die? We need some kind of life insurance, whatever. And he'd be like, oh, you're going to have food storage and you're going to have these guns and the church will help you, blah, 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 blah. That was his insurance policy. And so, it just really set me up for failure. And I know not every situation is like that, but mine was. And I do think most of them are. And I think most of them make women feel like they have to be submissive to men. And sure, I mean, where's the informed consent in that? Like, and why would we want to give our power to someone else? Why would we not want to have our own power? So I just think this trad wife culture that's coming back up, not all bad, but also so many things can go wrong for women and so many problems can happen. And I think um, if you're with a guy that is prone to power and control issues and wants to be in charge and thinks everything he believes and says is right, he knows better than anybody else. I mean, that's a really scary situation to be in. Um, Very hard to get out of, especially when you haven't finished an education. You haven't been in the workforce for a really long time and you've got children to take care of. Um, I went through this process of thinking, like, well, maybe I could just work at Target, but there was no way I could support myself and kids on an income from something like that. And so also I think it's important to know that a lot of women, showing this trad wife life on social media are making a lot of their own money by doing this on social media. And some of them in the LDS Church, Mormonism, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are even being paid by the church to put out this info. And so that's also something to consider if you are considering being a trad wife. Again, I give it 1 star for the skills you learn. Uh, that's it.